Welcome to Blue Blood TV, Season 6, Episode 10. Since the last show, Duke has lost to Pitt 80-76 and won against Louisville 83-89. It's been an up and down week for Duke, but the Blue Devils are still in third place in the conference behind UNC and Florida State. On the other side of town, in Chapel Hill, Hubert Davis and the UNC offense continues to steamroll the ACC. As with Jason Williams said, they have the best combo setup in the nation. This was an up and down week, guys, for Duke. This was a fantastic week for UNC. Will, we're going to start with you. First off, you weren't with us last week. How are you feeling, Will?
I'm better, man. I'm better. COVID put me in the hospital for a little bit, but we're back, man. We're ready to go.
Yeah, we didn't say on the last show COVID. We just said you had
Oh
the
yeah.
sniffles.
Sorry. Yeah, it was COVID.
It was COVID. Okay,
Yep.
so I'm glad you're back. I'm glad it took you out. You went to the hospital, but you came right back out.
Oh
Hey
Um,
yeah.
Will, if you thought COVID was something, brother, you got another thing coming for you today. I don't know if you wanted to run back to the show, but COVID wasn't anything compared to me.
That's fine, man. That's fine. That's fine. I'll go get fluids after the show.
all right, so Will, you ready to rock and roll?
Oh yeah.
Okay, your Heels are first in the ACC with an 8-0 record in the conference, 16-3 overall. It looks like on the schedule you guys can get to 19-3 or 20-4. What are you feeling right now about the team? Talk to us, Will.
Man, it's just a great time to be a Tar Heel basketball fan. I mean, we've won, I think we're on a 9-game heater right now. We've won either 8 or 9 in a row by double digits. We've won 7 of our 8 conference game by double digits. So we're just the boys look good, and the depth that we talked about earlier in the pod and other episodes. Just, I mean, it's kind of proven to be a positive for us. You know, we've Baycott really hasn't played up to the level that we thought he would this season, but we've got Ingram stepping in and Jalen Withers stepping in and Jalen Washington coming off the bench as well. So the guys look good. I think it's promising to be a Carolina basketball fan right now.
Okay, so Daryl, we want to go over to you, get you into this. Now, we're going to go back to a hot take from the first show. You predicted a national championship for Duke at the beginning of the season, but let's look at currently. Currently, Duke is in third place in a very weak conference. I think we only have 2 teams in the top 25, 5-2 in the conference, 14-4, which leaves them ranked 18 in the country. Are you sure Duke even deserves to be in the top 25, Daryl?
Yeah, absolutely, Hassan. Duke deserves to be in the top 25. I know it doesn't look like the national championship team I claimed they were at the beginning of the season, but they're definitely a top 25 team. The Pitt game, I believe, was not an accurate representation of who this team is. In a way, you saw who they are, and in a way, you didn't see it. You saw that they don't have much depth. 2 of the starters are out, with Mitchell and Roach both being out that game, and it really just kind of highlighted Duke's lack of depth that we already have been talking about all year. But I also believe with Mitchell and Roach in the game, these guys are a totally different team, as you saw in the Louisville game. So I think that the Pitt game didn't really say much about the team that we didn't already know as far as their depth is concerned, but it also didn't show us a Duke at full strength type of team either.
Okay, what do you think about Blake Hinson from Pittsburgh and his 24 points in the paint? What did that say to you?
Right. It told us what we already know. We don't really have an inside presence right now who can defend. I mean, I laugh when we joke about Filipowski, who they call Flip, is Jokic, right? Well, Jokic also doesn't play much defense. So I think that's a similarity that Filipowski and Jokic both have as well. So it didn't really tell me much. I think that with a full strength team, Mark Mitchell down inside helping out, though, it makes a big difference. So I don't know that we saw Duke in their best form that night.
Yeah, I mean, I was there. I was at Duke. I was at the Washington Duke, and it was on the heels of the Jason Williams announcement about Carolina basketball. And the Waduke at the end of that game was like a funeral. Like they were very upset. They were unhappy. They couldn't believe that they lost to Pitt. And then I think the second factor on it was it was the Cable brothers, right? The Cable brothers came to town, won in Cameron. And even with a depleted team, I mean, you guys still in that game had Filipowski, Jarrett McCain, Tyrese Proctor, Caleb Foster, Jalen Blakes, Ryan Young, all heralded out of high school, all those guys, and you lost because winning in Cameron is a tough deal, and not many guys can go to Cameron and get a win. Will, would you agree with that? Like, I think Daryl is underplaying what the Capel brothers did in Cameron the other night.
Cameron. I mean, there's no Carolina fan on the face of the earth that wouldn't tell you Cameron's an easy place to win a game. That's one of the toughest places to play, probably the toughest place to play in the country, in my opinion. You've got the student section right there on top of the court. That picture of was it Henson going up into the student section after the game?
Yeah, he did. And if you were there when they
I
walked
loved it.
out, Capel like pulls him aside, whispers in his ear, "You shouldn't do that." But deep down inside, Capel loved that he did it.
Oh,
So
he loved it. He
what-
loved it. And they're college kids, man. Let them celebrate. Like it's this storming the court thing, doing stuff like that. I love to see stuff like that. So
Hey, listen, I don't want to downplay it. Listen, I think one of the biggest concerns that I have about Jon Scheyer at this moment is that this game, Pitt, whether it's at Pitt or it's in Durham, that game should be, with asterisk every time you're playing it, right? Because this guy wanted your job and Jeff Capel over there at Pitt. And so Jon Scheyer should be looking across the court every time and saying, this motherfucker wanted my job, and I'm going to show him every time they step on the court together. And the fact that even with the injuries, the couple guys out, that he didn't step on that court and make sure that he punished Jeff Capel kind of makes me question Jon Scheyer moving forward.
do you
okay,
think
hey,
that
let me just give you guys a little stat.
okay?
314 games at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Duke has only lost 30 out of 314 games since
Wow.
2005, right? So that's a
Tyler
tough
Hansbrough's
place
got
to
what,
grab
five of
a
those,
win.
four of those?
Pardon me?
Tyler Hansbrough's got four of those.
Four of those. I would argue that probably 16 of those wins are Carolina. I would argue that because that's the only team that can consistently go in there and win, right? So, but I mean, a 90% win
That's insane.
percentage, that's incredible. That's incredible. So
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
I think at the end of that game, I was thinking, Grant Hill was in the house at that game. There were celebrities in the house. The Capel brothers were there, and I was thinking, man, maybe the Capel brothers should have been at Duke, because they took a ragtag team that's not performing and they motivated them to play to the point that they could get a win in Cameron. I was personally impressed by that. Daryl, your thoughts?
Let's also talk about the fact that all the things that you're saying are really true, right? But Cameron Indoor Stadium's almost like the Madison Square Garden of college basketball. So every time that a team steps in there, they're giving their best shot. They're trying to score 60 like a Kobe and LeBron do in Madison Square, right? You want to come into Cameron and knock off Duke, no matter what, no matter where Duke is, they could be the best in the country or the worst. When you step into Cameron, you know that you're playing with the big light shining on you. And I feel like Duke's going to get every team's best shot, then add the fuel to the fire of Jeff Capel wanting the Duke job, and now you have a forest in flames, which is what you saw in Cameron
Yeah,
against Pitt.
but Daryl, I don't know about that. I think you do get team's best shot, but to play there is another thing, right? Because it's tight. The fans are right up on you. They're like inches. They could almost touch you when you're inbounding the ball. Like there's no place in the country where the fans are that close to the court, right? I think it's a very intimidating place to play. I think Duke has great fans. And I think that that third wheel, like that third, that six man of the fans and the stadium being so compact makes it just very hard to get a win. So I'm not going to underestimate the Capel brothers. Actually, I'm going to pat the Capel brothers on the back. Job well
That's a great
done.
win. Great win for Jeff Capel and Jason out there in Pittsburgh for sure.
Absolutely. Will, we're going to go back to you. The first question I have for you is why is Hubert Davis's Carolina playing so well? And the second question is, should Bubba redo his contract right now and make him the highest paid coach in the NCAA basketball? Will, give us your hot take.
Defense. It comes down to defense, man. I don't know what Hubert's done with this team differently compared to last year. This is a team that's only allowing 69 points a game, and in our 9-game win streak, I think we've only allowed 70 or more one time. This team shuts people down defensively, and we're deep enough that guys like Jalen Withers coming off and getting key blocks, and Jalen Washington, and then Seth Trimble off the bench. We can just throw guy after guy after guy at you, and we just wear teams down. If you look at a lot of these games, they've been close in the first half or close-ish, and we end up pulling away in the second half just because we wear teams down in the paint. And this guard combo of Trimble and Cadeau and RJ is probably one of the best in the country. We've talked before about Carolina just not being big enough, but if we play defense like this and these guards play the way they have been, and we shoot the ball consistently, we're out rebounding teams, and we can play with anybody right now.
Okay, talk about Hubert. We'll talk about Bubba. What should Bubba do?
So I'm looking at the rankings of salaries amongst coaches, and right now it looks like, so USA Today did an article March of 23, and Hubert's the 52nd highest paid coach in college basketball. He's behind Jim Boeheim. I don't know if you know who Jim Boeheim is, but he's not coaching anymore. So do I think that Hubert should be paid more? Absolutely. I do think that, I mean, this is the first year of 3 that we've really seen him string together what he can potentially be as a head coach for a long period of time. I think with that, last year was not great, and then the year before that wasn't great outside of a run in the tournament, the ACC tournament, and then the tournament as well. But
So
next
you
year
want
he's
to pay him
due.
more based off of half of a season and another half of a season a couple years ago?
Well, so that's where I'm going with this. So if you look at the way his contract is slated, he just signed an extension through 27-28. He's due 3.1 next season plus incentives and bonuses and all that. So let's see how he does this season. That his salary will continue to increase, and Bubba's already shown that he's willing to write contract extensions and rework contracts if need be. So let's see how he does this
You
season.
think
I think
Hubert is the top 10 coach in the country? Does he deserve to be paid like a top 10 coach in the
right
country?
right now, absolutely. Yeah, you look at some of the guys on this list. Do you think Rick Barnes is a top five coach? Do you think Bruce Pearl's a top 5 coach? Chris Beard at Texas, they're not even ranked.
I don't think Chris Pearl or Barnes have ever won a national championship.
They haven't.
I mean,
They haven't.
Rick Barnes has been around forever. I think he was a coach when I was in college. So, but
Yeah,
again, if they can get that type of money, I think Hubert Davis certainly deserves it.
yeah. I think it'll happen. I think that this team and the Hubert's ability to adapt to the NIL and the transfer portal like he has, and the team that he's built this season, I think it's shown a lot of guys. I mean, we've got a top, one of the top recruiting classes in the country, top 5, top 10 recruiting classes in the country coming in next season as well. I think that he's shown that he deserves top 10 money, and I think it'll happen. I do.
Will, I actually agree with you. I think he deserves top 10 money. I think on the heels of Jason Williams saying if he was a combo guard today, where would he go? I think if I'm Bubba Cunningham, I ride this wave and I would actually sign him to the biggest deal, make it a big deal in basketball, maybe wait to the NCAA tournament time, sign this guy to a
Yep.
giant deal, make a and let this guy go out and recruit and land players. I think you've got the wind at your sails. Now you got to put a little bit more wind behind it. And UNC is back to where it goes. So Daryl, I want to go back to you, Daryl.
Sir, I'm tired of hearing
Let's
about
talk
that
about
bullshit too.
offense and defensive rebounding. Duke lost the war on the glass again against Pitt. Is there weakness in the paint the biggest problem for this team? If so, tell us how you can fix it, or if there's another problem other than offensive defensive rebounding.
Rebounding is absolutely a problem, but it's not the biggest problem. We've already talked about it. It's the depth. But I think against Pitt, we were down. Like I said, Mark Mitchell was out that game. We already lack size. Ryan Young had substantial minutes. He didn't show up, and then I think Scheyer next game kind of showed him that he wanted to see something different. So they put in Sean Stewart, and I think Sean Stewart's actually really interesting. So in the game against Louisville, he had 3 offensive rebounds, 15 minutes. So I think it's interesting now to see how Shirer's working his rotation, trying to figure out his 7th and his 8th man. Because, like I said, the biggest problem on this team is depth right now, and so Scheyer is trying to find a way to somewhat match what's going on in Chapel Hill, man. I mean, you're 9-10 deep out in Chapel Hill right now, and Duke can't find a 7th man.
So let me ask a question. Let's talk about 4 players. Let's talk about Jalen Blakes, Ryan Young, Sean Stewart, TJ Power, and Will be ready to jump in whenever you're ready.
I'm on it.
Jalen Blakes, what was he ranked coming out of high school? Was he 5-star?
He was up there.
I think so. 4 or 5, yeah.
4 or 5, right? Ryan Young, 5-star.
He's actually a transfer, but still should be doing better than what he's doing.
Okay. Sean Stewart, what was he?
He was 4-star, I believe.
4-star. TJ Power, what was he?
4-star as well.
Okay. So you're talking about 4-star recruits. Like, my question to you is it them, or is it the situation? Is it the coaching staff? I mean, a good coach gets the most out of his players. And this is the thing I think that Hubert is benefiting from, and he's getting the nod of confidence from me. And we've talked about it. I wasn't really a big fan of the Hubert pick, but I feel like for what he has, he's getting the most from his players. Is there a chance that this is a Jon Scheyer issue, Daryl?
Yeah. Actually, as the season goes on, I'm starting to believe more and more that it could be a Jon Scheyer thing. You know, it's not easy to take a cast of superstars and try to delegate roles, right? To lead a team essentially of people who are used to being the best player on their team. And I think that right now we're seeing Scheyer struggle putting the pieces together on this Duke team. And I don't know if it's that he's struggling to lead or if he's struggling to figure out scheme, rotation. Because I don't want to question his leadership, but at this point it has to be one or the other. Is that he's maybe not fit to be head coach and lead these men, or maybe he needs to find an assistant who can scheme a lot better than they are at this moment. But I think rotation is the biggest thing, and Shirer's not really he hasn't been very successful when Duke has needed to figure out their 7th, 8th, and 9th men. I think right now they're really short in that rotation.
Okay,
this all
so
kind of sounds like, though, what we've talked about with Hubert last season. Like, do you think? I mean, it's Shirer's 2nd year. Do you think? And again, playing devil's advocate here, I want Scheyer to fail. Honestly,
oh God, Will,
his face annoys me. But,
Shocker.
but he's got a punchable face, man. I'm sorry. But do you think it's just it's 2nd year growing pains?
Listen, I don't know that last year. I feel very similar about last year to Hubert's first season, except for Duke didn't go all the way to the national championship, but they weren't great, through the first half of the year.
Yep.
They were decent, but they really turned it up down the stretch. And I think it really brings into question whether Scheyer just had a really good stretch down the end of the season last year, or if he's actually a good coach. Right now, I'm going to say he's going to pull it together. He's going to figure the rotation out. And right now, he's just going through some growing pains. But if you give me a couple more weeks, February 3rd, if I see a different team on that floor, we might have some different answers to your questions right then.
So, Daryl, I'm looking forward at the schedule. Clemson, Virginia Tech, UNC. The good news about the Clemson game for Duke is that it's at home at Cameron.
Okay.
And we've already discussed the fact that it's hard to win in Cameron. Like,
They
it's
can't
just a
afford
hard
to
place.
lose that game, Hassan. I'm going to say it. They cannot afford to lose that game.
But they can. They can, like, because I don't think Roach is going to be ready. I'm thinking Roach would be ready to go get minutes at Virginia Tech and get prepared for the UNC Duke game, because the UNC Duke game is the game that John Scheyer, I wouldn't say he has to win it because it's on the road, but it would help him. Right now, he drops that Clemson game and drops that Virginia Tech game, and he probably will lose the UNC game in the Dean Dome. I mean, now you're looking at a team that's 14-7. Will, what do you think about that? Will, what do you think about that?
So my thing with Duke in the Scheyer thing and in previous conversation, and then kind of rolling into this conversation, is it's a weak conference this year, right? Like it's unusually weak. Joe Lunardi's only got 3 ACC teams in his bracketology right now, making the tournament out of the ACC, and Clemson's going to be a 9, and they're sitting at 6th place or 7th place in the conference right now. Do you think that if Duke goes 2-3 over the next 3 games, because I think they'll beat Clemson, especially being at home. The game that makes me nervous is that Virginia Tech game, because if you go out and you roll Clemson at home, and then is that Virginia Tech game a trap game?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we've been saying. That Virginia Tech game.
That's a look ahead
in Blacksburg, game. And I mean, it's a tough place to get to. It's not comfortable. I don't think you can take a jet in there. I think you got to take like a prop, right? You got to prop it in there or something.
Yeah,
right?
I think that Duke. I think the loss to Pitt really has locked Duke in. I'm sitting here. We're talking about questioning Scheyer, but I really believe in a couple weeks we won't be having. I won't think we'll have those same questions. I think that Duke is now locked in. They're a little healthier. Jeremy Roach came back and played, 17 minutes, I believe, in this last game. Mark Mitchell had a hell of a game, 20 points, 12 rebounds. I think that you will see a different Duke team moving forward after that loss to Pitt and Cameron. But I will also say I believe if Duke loses the next 3 games, like you suggested they could, that John Scheyer would not only lose those 3 games, but he'll lose the locker room. Grant Hill's flipping tables in the Washington Duke. And who knows where we're going to be by the end of the year with John Scheyer.
Prepare for Duke and North Carolina to face off like never before. Blue Blood Rivalry 5K! 5K! Sign up one, sign up all. Students, families, alumni, locals, non-locals, everyone! And you don't even need to be from UNC or Duke, because we have a Party Crasher division. Party Crasher! Come state, Wake, UVA, anyone, and join the fun. Crash their party! But the real battle is between the Blue Devils and the Tar Heels. Before it's settled on the court, it'll be settled on the race course. But there's more. There will be a special basketball dribble division where each participant will travel the race course dribbling a basketball. Dribbling a basketball? Hell yeah! That's cool! So sign up now! Attention all racers, prepare for the event of a lifetime. The race course will most certainly decide a champion school.
Carolina fans, download Duke Carolina, the Blue Blood Rivalry film on iTunes or Apple TV or wherever you get your VOD downloads.
Hey Queen, Queen, you know you my guy, right? I'm always putting for you. Tonight, when you step on the court, I step on the court too. And we in it.
There's only 2 games that matter. It's the North Carolina game at Duke and the Duke game that's at North Carolina.
When we wake up on game day, there's a knot in my stomach. We've been up since 6 a.m. this morning watching recorded Duke Carolina games.
I watched the Rivers shot
about 15 times.
Yeah.
Rivers on his own. Yes, at the buzzer.
We're here for the Duke game.
And it is 10 hours and 9 minutes till game time.
The Blue Devils win 85-84.
Nothing better than North Carolina and Duke. It is the best rivalry in all of college basketball. Hall of Fame coaches, great players, and usually so much at stake.
And that's it. Carolina's won it.
The fans have as much to do with the rivalry being great as the players and the coaches.
5 hours before game time.
Well, there's no question that the rivalry is there every day in our community.
Can you imagine what it would be like around here if people didn't have it? It would be terrifying.
We are 30 minutes away from tip-off.
It's one of the most exciting events you can be a part of, and I still say it's not the biggest rivalry in college basketball. It's the biggest rivalry in all of sport, bar none.
It's game time!
With John Scheyer.
Okay, so, and I'm not saying that's going to happen. What I am saying, there's a possibility that it could, okay? And if that possibility happens, I think you're going to have to look at those Capel brothers and say, maybe we made a mistake. But Will, let's just go over to Chapel Hill. Okay. Let's talk about this guy, Armando Bacot, 5 points against Wake Forest, 7 rebounds. I mean, he's basically turned everything over to RJ Davis. It's RJ Davis's team. I mean, it's not like he's taking his efforts in 35 minutes and saying, okay, I'm going to pull 14, 15 boards. And I'm putting all my effort into defense. He had 7 board rebounds, right?
Yep.
What's going on with this guy?
I think it's Hubert's system. He runs a guard heavy system. I mean, if you look at, we're not that big, and in historically Carolina teams have had a couple of big men. And Baycot's what, 6'10"? So it's one of those to where every time we get the ball in the post, he gets doubled. He's still averaging 14 and 10. So he's second on the points in team and second on the team in points. Words are difficult. And first on the team in rebounds. And he's shooting the ball 53%. So he's taking smart shots. He's kind of figured out that little mid-range jumper as well.
Get those words out because you knew that was bullshit. But I'll allow you to continue.
You think so?
Listen. I'm wondering what's going on with Mondo, man. I mean, this is what, year 6. He's supposed to be a man amongst boys, and some nights that's how he looks, but some nights he just disappears. And Jason Williams spoke on it, and you're speaking on it. This is a guard-heavy system. Yep. Your Kobe Whites, your Caleb Loves, your RJ Davises. Those guys have prospered in these systems, and I believe right now Mondo has to find his role as a defender and a rebounder. I don't think it's going to be on the offensive end though.
The way we're getting points is kind of an inside out game. Baycot's doubled pretty much every offensive possession that we go down and we get. And we're still averaging, he's struggled, and we're still averaging 83.5 points a game. So I'm not concerned with.
Yeah, I believe you cut out Hassan. Or
cut out there, Hassan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm back.
You're getting too excited. Too excited.
Thought it was me for a sec.
Are you not concerned that Armando has he really hasn't had a great game this season, right? It's really been the Cadeau RJ show, right? The talk has been about the combo guard. It's been about Ingram, right? We really haven't had a conversation this season about Armando Bacot and what he's bringing to the table. Now, when you get to that top 5, those top 5 teams, those top 7 teams, those top 10 teams, you're going to need some inside play. And this guy is not providing it. He has not provided it all season. And it looks like he's just cruising and saying, okay, I may or I may not be an NBA pick, but so what? I got $5-10 million in my bank account now, and I'm just not seeing the Armando I saw. What is he, a fifth? Is this his 5th year, 6-year senior? That I saw for 4 previous years. This is his
If
like
he's
COVID
got
year,
any
right?
thought that he could be an NBA pick, he's talking to the wrong people. He needs to find a way to get a 7th year of eligibility.
See, I don't necessarily agree with that because if you look at a guy like Day'Ron Sharp, who played 1 year at Carolina and averaged 4 points and 2 boards a game and 6 minutes of playing time, that guy's had a good long career in the NBA. And yeah, he's not a superstar, he's not a stud, but a guy like Baycott who's adapted his game in every system that he's been in. And I think that guy could go out and have a decent career as an 8th, 9th, 10th guy off a bench. Nobody's saying he's going to be a superstar.
Shanghai, absolutely.
In Shanghai, you think he's going to go play with Dwight Howard?
I mean, I think
I
he's.
don't want to say that.
Average 400 points a game.
I think he's Europe. I think he's in the Turkish basketball league. I think he's in the Chinese basketball league.
Russia, somewhere out there.
I think if he was shooting for the NBA, he would be playing a little harder. Now, the point totals, you don't really need that many points. But where's he putting his resources, right? A player has so many resources. He's not even putting them on the glass or the offensive glass. I don't know what the hell he's doing. You're shooting enough, but I don't see this guy really focused on really making it happen. Because if he was rebounding more, you guys would be winning by more.
He's still averaging 10 boards a game. He's still averaging a double-double. Like it's funny that we're having this conversation though, because I mean, yeah, he's not averaging the 21 and 15 that he did a year or two ago, but he's sitting at 15 and 10, which I mean, any
But he looks like he's like 30 years old out there. He should be doing way more than that.
Yeah, that's fine. He's an old man. We get it. He's an old man.
No, he's not an old man. He's a 5th, 6-year senior. That's with the COVID year. Will, so here's my hot take. This is your hot take.
Mm-hmm.
Is this going to come back to bite you or not bite you?
Negative.
Negative.
Not come back.
All right, we're gonna hold you to it.
You want an explanation?
Yeah, give it to us.
All right, real quick. I think that if you look at his efforts this season so far,
what is he doing?
He's averaging 14 and 10. He's playing 29 minutes a game. He's getting in foul trouble early in some of these games. I do think it's a long season, and a lot of these teams, look at UConn with Caravan getting banged up and these big guys going down with ankle injuries and knee injuries and shoulder injuries and whatever else. I think that Baycott, you will see what Baycott can do and how good he really is in the ACC tournament and the NCAA tournament.
Okay, do you know how many points he scored against Boston College? 10.
He had 10 and 9.
10.
What was the stat line against Charleston Southern?
You love digging into that. Why don't you worry about your own boys?
No, I'm asking. I mean, this guy
12 and 9. He only played 20 minutes though.
Yeah, it just seems like he's had a couple of good games. His Louisville game, he was pretty good. But he's had a lot of like 12-point games, 9-point games, 10-point games. And when he came back with this 5, I was just like, well, so Will, you're saying this has no impact?
No, I think
none. Okay, that's your hot take. We're gonna hold it. Daryl, we're going back to your hot take. Sir. In the season, you predicted national championships. Now we're talking about, can Coach Scheyer fix this team? Are you ready to walk your comments back and reassess this team? As it stands now, what heights do you think this team can achieve?
Walk my comments back. Sure. I think that I still think
no. Sure. What does that mean? Yes or no?
No, absolutely not. Actually, when I do think, listen, here's what I have to say at this point in the season. I believe Duke can still win a national championship when healthy. I think I told you they call Kyle Filipowski Flip, and when Flip gets to going, it's game over. Okay, so I think if healthy, Duke at the worst is an Elite 8 team, national championship team. probably more like an Elite Eight or Final Four team, though, if they're healthy. But I do think they're capable of winning a national championship. I don't think they're the best team in the country anymore. I'll be completely honest about that. But I
Thank
do
you.
think,
Thank you. Thank you.
But I do think come February 3rd, that again, national championships aren't won in February. However, pride is on the line, and I think that Will and I, leading up to this game, we're gonna have to place a wager on that game because I'm
Let's
really
do it right
confident
now.
in the Blue Devils' chances.
So for the rivalry's sake, I am hoping that Duke beats Clemson, Duke beats Virginia Tech, and Roach comes back. I am hoping that Mark Mitchell comes back. We want Duke at full speed. Even if they have a couple of knocks, knacks and knocks, but they're playable, right? Because on February 3rd, the Blue Blood rivalry commences, and I want to see a good game. I want to see Duke with 2 more wins that would put them 16-4. And I want to see Carolina win out to there and they'll be 19-3. And I want to see a barn burner. What I'm scared about is if Clemson beats Duke at home and they go on the road and lose at Virginia Tech and this thing cascades and guys are thinking about exiting. And then that UNC Duke game would be a blowout, right? So
Get yourself, Hassan. You're dreaming in that scenario.
I mean, I don't. Will, is that a dream or is that Virginia Tech game is going to be a tough game?
That Virginia Tech game is a trap game.
It's a trap
State has
game.
a decent team and they worked State, so it's one of those to where if you guys do beat Clemson, who's a good team this year, don't sleep on Virginia Tech. At Virginia Tech, that's one of those midweek games that.
I'm telling you guys now, Tyrese Proctor is back. And I was telling you guys this guy reminded me of Joe Proctor from Power because this guy lays the law down, man. This dude is nasty. 24 points and 4 assists this last game against Louisville. And Scheyer's got him playing big minutes now, still coming off the bench. But I believe you'll see him in the starting lineup. Tyrese Proctor is going to be the reason that on February 3rd, Will goes home crying. And so
you guys look better than you actually are because of the conference being so weak this year.
And Will, I think you might be able to say that for Carolina too.
Carolina, thank you, Hassan.
You might be able to say that, it's a beautiful thing inside the ACC.
Yeah, we'd be 3rd in the conference. They'd be 12th.
And you might want to say that 3rd ranking might be false because I'm not sure about this conference. I mean, our next best team is coming in at let's see this week's rankings, January 21st. I mean, Duke is at 12, right? It's at 12, right? Florida Atlantic is 22, right? Like these are teams like you're not seeing. You're not seeing Creighton, Utah State, Colorado State, New Mexico. You're not seeing Dayton, right? Dayton is 15-2, right? So like Carolina's sitting at 3. I mean, I don't know. Like in previous years, if you were 8-0 in the conference, you could say make the argument 1, 2, 3. But this year, I just don't know because I don't see enough ACC teams battling in the top 25. Is that fair, Daryl?
Yeah, I think that's very fair. We've talked about just this year, the ACC is not the ACC. And I believe that it's working in both Duke and Carolina's favor. Even though the Blue Devils have struggled, I believe that it could have been a lot worse if the conference was what it normally is. But I do believe that plays in the Devils' favor leading up to the game against Chapel Hill because you get to play against what typically would be great competition, but right now feels more like Charleston Southern and Radford leading up to February 3rd. So hopefully these will be some confidence boosters for the Blue Devils, and they can come into Chapel Hill ready to play and ready to take home the dub.
Okay, gentlemen, I got one final conversation point, and it's for both of you. Jason Williams called UNC the optimal transfer place if he were a combo guard in today's game. He then went on this weekend to call RJ the best PG point guard in the country. Is Jason Williams telling the truth, or are those comments hot takes to push the spotlight onto him? I'm going to start with you, Will. Talk about it.
He is absolutely 100% telling the truth. RJ is hands down the best point guard in the country. There's little to no argument. And if you saw the panel that he said it with, they all agreed with him as well. And I really do think that Carolina is the optimal place if you're a guard to transfer to right now. You look at Cormac Ryan, you look at these wing guards, these shooting guards that we have. Cadeau, we've got Trimble coming off the bench. Cadeau's supposed to be in high school right now, and look at how he's elevated RJ's game. I think that absolutely Jason Williams is 100% telling the truth, and what makes me happier than just about anything else is seeing Duke fans unravel when they saw those comments, because they love Jason Williams.
Let me tell you something. My friend Terry Dollard, Duke, Iron Duke, big time Iron Duke, he said Jason Williams is dead to us. He said, don't talk about him. He's dead. And this was right after the Pitt loss. He goes, he's dead. He said, calling RJ the best point guard in the country. He said, he is dead to us. Daryl.
Yes, sir.
Are those hot takes, or is he just trying to push the spotlight onto himself?
You fool me once, man. Jason Williams, this is Mr. Hot Take himself. I think he's just trying to create a buzz for himself and sell some new books or something. I don't know if he has a new product coming out, but I think that RJ is an incredible point guard. I think he's having a great season. I don't know that he's the best point guard in the country, and I'm telling you now, when he steps on the floor on February 3rd, he won't be the best guard on the court, because Jeremy Roach is going to have a better game than he does.
Okay.
Will?
I think we need a side bet from the original bet also. We'll have multiple bets going at the same time for Saturday's game.
Yeah, he's getting the best of you today.
I'm doubling down.
I think his team pretty much got the best of my team this week, but I doubt Will could ever get the best of me, Hassan. That's a contradictory statement.
Okay.
So here's what I think. So I think that when Jason Williams looks at RJ, he is being like every athlete. He's thinking about, well, what would I do in that combo offense where I had a Cadeau that could bring the ball up the court, a 4-5 star. Is Cadeau a 4 or 5 star? He's a 5-star or 4-star?
He was a 5.
Yeah, okay, 5-star.
Yeah.
5-star guard that can bring the ball up the court, and I could start running off picks. I personally think, Will, that RJ is not playing point guard. I think he's playing the 2 guard. I think he's absolutely too short to play the 2 guard. I think against ACC, a competition, he is doing well. But back to the Jason Williams hot take, I think that Jason Williams is thinking, well, what would I have done? Because I think that Jason Williams was one of the coldest point guards ever in the ACC. When I think of guards in the ACC, I think of Kenny Smith. I think of Jason Williams. I think of Kenny Anderson. I think of Rodney Moreau. I mean, I think he's one of the coldest. And who's the guy over at Wake Forest in the 90s? Anyone know?
Oh shoot!
You know what I'm talking about.
As old as you guys are, man, y'all don't remember the guy's name?
Oh man, there's so
Thanks,
many.
Man. Thanks, man. You keep us humble.
But I think Jason Williams was the Kyrie Irving before Kyrie Irving. I actually think he was better than him. He had that Jersey New York handle. He could get to the rim. He could shoot from the outside. So when I look at his comments, he's thinking, man, RJ just got 30 points tonight, 34 points tonight. I would have scored 40. I would have scored 50, because obviously he probably thinks he's better than RJ, or was better than RJ. And so I think he's looking at the way that system is set up, what that system gives guards, and he's saying, look, guys, if I were coming out now, this is where I go. And so I think it's 50% a hot take, because he knows it's hot. He knows it's a hot topic. He knows he's going to make headlines. but I think it's 50% the truth too. So that's where I'm sticking to.
I don't know that Wake Forest guard you're talking about was Chris Paul, but the Jay Williams comments were definitely a low blow.
I loved it.
Chris Paul's one of the greatest guards in the ACC. That's it, right? So that's what I'm talking about. Is like he's a top 10 guard ever in this conference. And it's just too bad that he had the motorcycle accident and we never saw what he could have done in the NBA, because I think he was one of the coldest guards ever, including Stephon Marbury. I think you put Marbury in that mix too. He was one of the coldest guards ever in the ACC, and I would love to have seen him in a more relaxed offense where he can go find his shot. He can bring the ball up the court. He can make the decisions on whether he's on ball, off ball, just unbalance the teams in front of him. I think Jason is just imagining his skill set in that offense, and I think it would have been great.
Okay, guys. For both of you guys, real quick, who you got in a one-on-one game to 11? Jay Williams or Kyrie Irving?
Will, go ahead. Take that one.
Like prime? Probably Kyrie.
Yeah.
See, you didn't watch Jason Williams. I'm taking Jason Williams. And here's why I'm taking Jason Williams. Tougher. Like Jason Williams was a pit bull's pit bull. Like he was a dog. He was strong. He was mean. He kind of had that. They both have that same dribble, but I think like Jason Williams was just more of a dog about the same style of game. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, that's a
coin flip. I like it.
All right, guys. As always, we gotta, we could talk about this stuff forever.
Yep.
I mean, but the good news is we have next week to talk about it some more. Next week we're gonna have more information. And the landscape could change next week. So we're excited to get back here. This has been episode
big 10. Game next week.
Big game next week. Yeah, everything could change. The conversation could change. And that's what's beautiful about this podcast.
Think about what you want to lose next Saturday, man. Think about what you want to lose in that bet, what you're willing to give up.
Copy that.
Right. So this has been episode 10, another fantastic episode of the Blue Blood Rivalry podcast. Thank you, Daryl. Thank you, Will. Will, I'm glad you've gotten over COVID. I think, I was a little worried when you told me you went to the hospital, but we're glad to have you back.
Yeah, it wasn't fun.
And
happy to be back.
And you look like nothing happened to you. You actually look better, Will. I mean,
Thanks, man.
You were glowing today.
Thanks, man.
And if you like this podcast, share it with your friends. If you like this podcast, share it with your grandmother. If you like this podcast, just share it. If you'd like to donate this podcast, just go to bluebloodrivalry.com, hit the donate button, and feel free to contribute. And as always, I say, Will, we out.
We out.
Blue Blood TV Podcast is available on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, guys, these shows grow when you share them. So we have a great show here. Share them with all your friends. Make them aware of the Blue Blood TV Podcast.